So in section 1, 2, we will be talking about vectors, and if you look at the slides, you will see suggested homework problems at the end of each slide. So these are the suggested problems, but the ones that I'm assigning you, I will specifically are giving you the numbers for each week. You need to solve them and you need to send it back to me, okay? So, as we said, the vectors are the quantity that has both magnitude and direction, and as an example we can give a velocity vector or a force vector, and I showed you one figure example in the previous section if you remember. And the length of the arrow represents the magnitude of the vector, and the arrow points the direction of the vector. And here you go, this is the vector that is showing the direction northeast, as we can see, and the length of the vector is going to be the magnitude of this arrow, okay? And from A to B you can define, you can think that you are at the point A and you are walking through the B, and at that time you have a vector V, and A is called the tail, the starting point, and tip is the ending point of the vector. And the displacement vector V has an initial point A, terminal point P or the tip point, and we indicate this one with the V vector, and we most of the time are showing this arrow above the AB vector, the tail from the tip, and put an arrow above it, okay? And if you draw a same vector in a different place, but if it has shown the same direction and it has the same magnitude, then these vectors are an equivalent vector. So we can say that U and V are equivalent vector if it has the same direction and the same length, even though they are in a different position. So 0 vector is denoted by 0 and it has a length 0 with no specific direction. You can combine vectors, which means that you can sum the vectors. And for the arrow representation, to be able to sum the vectors, you have two different ways. One of them is you can put, for example, the AB vector, BC vector, you are trying to sum them up, or you are trying to combining these vectors. What you need to do is put the tail of the second vector at the tip of the first one, and then from the tail of the first one to the tip of the second, this will be the result of the summation, okay? Or this is one way. Another way is completing to the parallelogram. This is the parallelogram law. What you can do for the U and V vector, you can get close to the tails and you can complete these tails into the parallelogram. Then this diagonal is going to give you the sum of these two vectors, okay? For example, let's draw the sum of these two vectors, A and B. One, I am taking the A. The second one I am carrying as the tip of the first one. This is the first rule. And from the tail of the first one to the tip of the second one is going to give me the A plus B. Or the second way, this is the triangle law, parallelogram law. What we are doing, we are this time combining the tails of A and B. As you can see, I combine them. I am completing this one into a parallelogram. Then the diagonal is gonna give the summation of these two vectors, okay? This is the parallelogram law.